Hey everybody, Yankee here. You know, one thing that's been a topic of heated debate between a lot of the self-proclaimed professional internet gun experts for years is whether your everyday carry gun should have a manual safety. Now, normally I would just settle this once and for all by saying no, it should not. That's one more thing you have to worry about in a self-defense situation. But after having my gun yanked from the holster while I was grappling with someone else, one of his hoochies yanked the gun from my holster during an event on New Year's Eve, which got my gun taken by the popo, I've started thinking that if I hadn't been able to get that gun away from them as quickly as I did, that could have been a bad thing. A manual safety might have made that a little safer, given me a little more time if I had needed it. So right now, I'm kind of undecided on the manual safety on carry guns. For now, I'm going to let you make your own decision until I make up my mind and settle it once and for all. But I am going to say one thing about manual safeties on carry guns, on your everyday carry gun. If you have a manual safety on your carry gun, the one thing that's essential in my mind is that it be ambidextrous. You know, I said this the other day and someone got all over me. And no, ambidextrous doesn't mean it likes to, dress like the other sex or something like that. That's a totally different thing. Ambidextrous just means it's basically on both sides. So you can use it if you're right-handed or you can use it if you're left-handed. And yes, I do know I used the wrong hands when I said that. So that's the one thing I do say a gun must have if it has a manual safety. And people got on me for saying that, saying, it's not necessary, blah, blah, blah. And I actually think it is necessary, and I'm going to explain why, because I didn't really explain why in that video in any detail. If you're carrying your gun, you're out and about on your daily business, and crap goes down, and you need to use your self-defense firearm. Let's say, though, you get shot in the right hand before you're able to act. Or maybe someone else gets shot, and you're holding them, or they're holding onto your arm, and you can't use your right arm. And you have to use your left hand to draw your gun. If you draw that gun out and there's no manual safety on this side, which would be your weak side, if there's no ambidextrous safety, well, it's really hard to get it off. If you have to try really hard to get something off, well, then you're in the wrong situation. And that applies for a lot of things. But right now we're talking about guns. I actually have to turn my thumb clear over to the other side, which puts me in a really bad situation right here. This is not a good grip on this gun. I'm struggling to maintain control of this gun right now because I had to take my thumb off the other side and go over here to disengage my safety. If there was a safety over here, I wouldn't have to do that. If I did that with my other gun, let's say here, another Colt 1911, if I drew this one out, even though this is my weak hand and it's the wrong hand, I've got an ambidextrous safety there. I can still click it off easily while maintaining control of the gun. Now, a lot of people are going to say, though, if it's in the holster, I'll just disengage the safety before I draw it with my left hand. That way I don't need to have, an ambidextrous safety. But that's trying to create situations or ways around something that would be better if you just had the ambidextrous safety. Because if you have just the strong side safety and you go to draw it out of your holster, well, that's up against your body. Let's do it up here so you can see. That's up against your body. It's hard to get to that safety. So you're going to have to fiddle to do it. That's going to take you time. You don't want to take that time to do that. Or let's say you're someone who wants to do that. You can do it easily. You're like, I can get to it easy and take it off. Well, since it is in the opposite side, once you pull it out, you're going to have to do something like put it in your armpit or something to gain proper control of that gun. You don't want to take the safety off before you're doing that. That creates extra danger. You don't want to take that safety off until you have control of the gun. So you're going to want that ambi safety, because like I said, you can leave it on until the gun is in your hand and in your control, and then you can remove that safety and go about business. That's why you need an ambi safety, because you can't always count on your strong hand being available. It's not always going to be there, not always going to work, or not always be free. So have the ambi safety. And yes, I know there's workarounds. There's things you can do if you don't have the ambi safety. But why have to do them? Having a gun with an ambi safety is just an easy requirement to have. Almost every gun that has manual safeties these days, I think, have ambi safeties. But the ones who don't, you can usually get them. If you have a 1911, you can put an ambi safety on it. If you have a gun that can't have an ambi safety and you can't get another gun, well, then I guess you'll have to worry about the things you have to do that are more dangerous or take more time to compensate for that. But if you have the ability to choose a gun that either has an ambi safety or can have one added, that's the choice you should make, because having that ambi safety is essential in my opinion. In fact, it could save your life. So if you're going to have a manual safety on your carry gun, make sure that it has an ambi one. Not like this one that doesn't. Make sure it's like this one here, where if you have to use your weak hand, you're not going to have to fumble with the gun to take that safety off. You'll be able to just click it off as quickly as you can. And like I said, get down to business.